to the action on stage 9, which most interesting speed shoots in the match. The two outside steel activated two swingers, there was an additional steel in the middle and two plates. Finding the right sequence that would save you waiting on the swingers was key for success.
Stand by. Stand by. Finish on low, show clear. If it's clear, stand by.
Great shooting from Robbie. You can note that he reaches the swingers just as they're stopping at the end of their arc. That's exactly where you want to engage them. That's how you shoot the legs.
Stand by. Finish on low, so clear. If it's clear, hammer down, hold it. Are you ready? Stand by.
Okay, we've seen the best standard shooters engage the stage. Now let's watch some of the open. You'll see the open shooters use completely different tactics on this stage. For the open race guns, the sequence was just right to shoot all the steels from right to left, but you had to get it just right. A great run by Todd, who put up a 369 and dropped only 1 point, but the stage win belongs to Max Michel.
Stand by.
In stage 20, the shooter had to choose between a dozen or so shooting ports, had to choose 4 out of which to engage the targets of the stage. Let's watch the hat cam for a better view. The key was to choose those ports which would allow you the fastest transitions between them, and then of course to remember which ports they were as you ran through the stage. Preparation was important here. The port in the middle required a very low shooting position. Of course, putting your knee on the ground would cost more time as you leave the position, but it was more comfortable.
You have finished. Reload. Stand by. Reload. Ready. Stand by.
You can see that each shooter chooses a different set of ports to use, based on his build, his size and height. Wow, that was an amazing run by Taran, and that would be his stage win.
Reload. Stand by. Reload if you have to. Ready. Stand by. Reload. Stand by.
A nice run there by Mike Voigt. Let's take another look and compare his shooting with Travis Tomasi. We can see that Travis clearly gained his half-second advantage in the middle low port, even though he was the one who put his knee on the ground. A great shooting by South African's Fabian Scott. He has one of the fastest splits in the game amongst the standard shooters.
Reload.
Stage 21 was another challenging speed shoot. From the left window, only the heads of the poppers were visible. The right one activated the flipping target. Now that flipping target could be shot from the left port or from the right port. There seemed to be just enough time to come across, shoot the paper, the steel, and then get that target before it disappears. Let's watch the hat cam. Yes, the sequence is definitely there, but it's pushing it a little bit. Everything has to be just perfect, and you don't want to rush on these headshots.
You're finished. Reload. Stand by.
So as you can see with our split screen view, you could engage that flipper target from the left port a lot easier, but it would cost a little time.
Stand by. Reload it. Yes. Stand by. Reload. Stand by. You're finished. Stand by. If you're finished, stand by. Finished. Reload.
Stage 22 was pretty straightforward. The gun started loaded on the table, the steel activated the swinger, and the choice was what to shoot between the steel and the swinger to get there at the right sequence.
Stand by.
Now there was enough time to shoot all three targets after the steel, but there was really no point because as you could see the swinger was already out after two targets. And that was a slightly slower and safer option, but it did require more gun movement and so took a little longer.
Stand by. Stand by.
Taran shoots such incredibly fast splits that even with 3 extra shots he still puts up one of the fastest times on the stage. It appears Robbie had some kind of malfunction. Oh yeah, hammer drop. But he recovered well, although that time lost will cost him some points on the stage.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Fantastic shooting by Phil Strader. Smooth, no extra shots and only 1 point down. That would give him the stage win.
Stand by. Are you ready? Stand by.
Things went badly wrong there for Fabian because he missed his first shot on the activator. On a stage like this, it's crucial to hit the activator on the first shot, otherwise you lose your sequence.
Gun is clear, hammer down and hold.
Stage 23 offered one of the highest hit factors in the match with 22 rounds and very little motion. The targets were reasonably close, only about 8 meters out, but those no-shoots there were very high risk. Because of the high hit factor, the temptation was strong to go very fast, but as on every stage, one miss, or even worse, a missed no-shoot would throw you way back in the ranking.
Are you ready? Stand by.
I had an excellent run on this stage, and even though I had 1 D, I still won the stage because I had the best time and the hit factor was high. Good run there from Mike Voigt. He chose to start in the middle port because then he had a longer time to make his reload moving from the left port to the right. The open guns didn't have this consideration as we shot with 1 magazine.
If it is clear, slide down, hammer down and hold.
Let's take another look at that run and superimpose it with Mike Voigt's run. The malfunction Fabian had in the first position cost him some time, but in that situation the only thing you can do is keep shooting your points and try and finish as best you can.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Great shooting from Angus Hobdell, dropping only 1 C on that stage with all those no-shoots. We asked him what he thought about this year's World Shoot.
It's a tough match. I think they've outdone themselves with no-shoots here.
And movers.
And movers, yeah, there's quite a few movers, but there were a lot of movers in the Philippines. So.
But it's your first year shooting at the World Shoot with a production gun.
Yeah, it's different. I'm finding that aiming is way more important with these long targets than I thought it was going to be.
And production is really won through points. You can't afford to shoot many Cs at all.
No, it's all about the points. You just have to be aiming. Unfortunately, the problem is when you aim, you feel like you're shooting way too slowly.
And do you still shoot open at all, or are you just focusing on production?
No, I still shoot open. I'll shoot the Steel Challenge 1 week from when I get back from here. So I'll have 7 days, maybe 8 days to actually get back into an open gun. I'll shoot a CZ75 champion with an aim point sight, and we'll see what happens.
And what's the situation now in the match in the production division?
Actually, I'm not squatted with the US team or with the other higher ranking shooters. I'm just here with the CZ USA team, who are all good shooters. And we're actually shooting well as a team. We're scoping the stages out well, and we're having a good time.
Do you know who's leading?
We don't really know who's leading. We haven't kept any scores, but I have a feeling that Adam and Dave Savigny are up there.
Stage 24 was without a doubt the stage of the match. It was the most tactical and the most interesting stage. The shooter started standing in the middle of this tunnel, and the stage was constructed over 2 bays connected through that tunnel. There were so many options, it's difficult to describe the right tactics. One option was this: moving to the right, engaging these 2 close targets, and activating the 2 steel. Now the back steel activated 2 sliders on the left range, and the steel over there activated 2 sliders on the right range, so it was necessary to run back and forth. On the left hand side range you can see the tracks for the moving targets. 2 targets were visible from here, from around the corner of the barricade. There was a close target and another mid-range target, and the steel there are overlapping. Once again, the back steel activates the cart on the right hand range, so running back to the first range here was necessary. Moving back into position here to engage the sliding targets and the last of the targets here. Now this was only one option. There were certainly other ways of shooting the stage. Here's one option from behind the hat cam. Certainly one of the nicest stages in recent memory, and I'm sure all the competitors in the match will remember this stage for many years to come. Todd Jarrett is our next shooter. Impressive stuff from Max. We were able to speak to him after the stage.
So Max, this is your 3rd World Shoot. What do you think of this event?
It's nice, you know. Like you said, it is my 3rd World Shoot. I'm fortunate enough to have shot in 3 already, but this one it's deceiving. You know, it looks easy, but it's not. You know, South Africa, I think we had 60-yard shots. We had some pretty far shots, a lot of tight shots, a lot of far shots. Here, everything's much closer, but a lot of partials, a lot of hard cover. Like I said, it's deceiving. It wants you to go fast, and it's going to bite you in the butt in the end.
The last stage we shot now was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, that was an awesome stage. I actually had a burning in my stomach when I was done, so I knew I was sprinting. That was an awesome stage. Yeah, very good props.
Spent a lot of time planning that one? Or
oh yeah.
It out real quick?
No, a lot of time planning it up until the point I was ready to fire. Yep.
And Max, can you tell us a little bit about the equipment you're using?
As far as my gun goes, I'm using an STI. It's a regular true bore STI straight from the factory. Kind of do a few of my own modifications, of course. Seymour scope. As far as my gear goes, CR Speed holster, CR Speed belt, and pouches. I've used a lot of stuff over the years, and CR Speed just seems to be the strongest.
We return to the action on stage 24, where J.J. Rakeza is on the line ready to give his stage-winning performance. Wow, at 21 second flat, that was well over a second faster than anybody else. And even though he had some extra shots there, he was moving so quickly that he put up the best time. Impressive shooting from the open squad. Now let's watch some of the standard shooters negotiate this challenging stage. First up is Taron Butler from the US. A fast time from Taron, but too many points down. Next up is Robbie Leatham, who is once again challenging for the title. stage 25, the middle steel activated the swinger, and there was one other steel on the left. Moving to the right of the barricade, 3 plates from 10 to 15 yards out, and 1 open target. An extra step to the left would reveal that swinger once again, and the option was to start either on the right or on the left side of this barricade. No, that certainly was not one of my better stages of the match. Let's watch some better shooting. Next up is Eli Hotner from Israel.
Are you ready? Stand by.
On this stage, the first of Area 5, we caught up with the ladies' super squad. And first up is Kay Clark-Mickle.
If you are finished, load and show clear. Clear, hammer down. Are you ready? Stand by.
Good shooting from both Lisa and Kay. Let's take another look and overlap both of them to compare the techniques.
Stand by.
Well, they both chose the same tactics on the stage, but Kay had to wait for another pass of the swinger, and that was the difference.
If you are finished, load and show clear. Are you ready? Stand by. If you are finished, load and show clear. It's clear, hammer down, hold. Are you ready? Stand by.
The next shooter is Austria's Gabriele Karlshofer. She's 4 times European champion, and at this match she would finally realize her dream of becoming the world champion.
If you are finished, load and show clear. It's clear, hammer down, hold. Are you ready? Stand by. If you are finished, load and show clear. If clear, hammer down, hold. Ready? Stand by.
And you can see there why Angus is one of the greatest steel shooters on the planet. In stage 26, the competitor's unloaded gun rested on the platform either on the left or the right. 2 targets from the outside of the barricade, another 2 targets on the left side of the barricade, and then down through this very low kneeling port, 3 targets and 2 full-size steel. The choice to be made here was whether to shoot from left to right or to start on the right and finish in the middle. I chose to start on the right and finish in the low port because I didn't fancy the transition out of that position. Next up is Kay Clark-Mickle from the USA.
If you are finished, put it safe. Reload. Put it in safe and stand up. Are you ready? Stand by.
Let's take another look at Kay and Lisa and compare the tactics of starting on the left versus starting on the right and finishing in the middle.
Are you ready? Stand by.
There seems there's not much of a difference between the two tactics. Kay lost some time because of that malfunction before the last shot, otherwise their times would have been almost equal.
If you're finished, you stay and reload. Stand by. If you're finished, reload. You're ready. Stand by. If you're finished, put the reload and hold. Stand by. If you are finished, reload and holster. Stand by. Reload. Stand by. Engage your save and stand up. Reload. Stand by.
An excellent run there by Athena Lee, dropping only 2 points in the process. Stage 27 was a simple 9-round stage. The steel activated the drop turner and there were 3 full-size mid-range static targets. There was enough time to shoot all 3 targets
Ready?
between the steel and the drop turner.
Bye.
I had to wait on the drop turner because I had a partial hit on the steel. No such problems for Angus, who had an excellent run with his production gun, dropping only 1 Charlie.
Finish and load and show clear. Stand by. Finish and load and show clear. It's clear. Are you ready? Stand by. If you finish and load and show clear. Stand by. If you finish and load and show clear. Clear, hammer up. If you finish and load and show by. Stand by.
In stage 28, the competitor retrieved his loaded gun off the table, engaged 3 close targets, and then 2 mini steel and a plate about 15 meters out. A fast, straightforward stage, but required good shooting and precision. Here's the view from the hat cam. Nice shooting from Mary Tan. Of course, one of the hardest things in a stage like this is to push off from the start position when you have both feet touching the same line. It makes for a difficult start. Stage 29 was once again a 26-round stage, tempting the open guns to go with one magazine. From around the left corner of the barricade, 3 targets and a steel. Coming around the corner into position, that steel was available again, plus 2 mini steels and 3 mid-range targets. Then moving to the right, the shooter had to stop here to engage 2 paper targets between steel no-shoot targets. Only the A zone was visible. And then moving on to the end of the lane for a partial mini steel and 2 more targets visible between no-shoots. Quite a high-risk stage. This was the view from the hat cam. Wow, that was quite risky. I ran the stage with 1 long magazine, but did fire 3 extra rounds, so I finished the stage with my last round in the chamber.
If you're finished, unload and show clear. Stand by. You're finished. Unload and show clear. Stand by. Yes. Yes, you're finished. Unload and show clear.
Impressive stuff from the ladies, but let's watch the top men run the stage as well. First up is Chris Titty.
If you're finished, I'll let the show clear. It's here, hammer down, and hold. Are you ready?
A tough break here for JJ, who like many of us ran the stage with one magazine. But he ran out on the last target and later said that he just didn't fill the long magazine to capacity. Next up is Jojo Vidanis. Good shooting from Max, except for that one cling on the steel no-shoot. That's the one sound you didn't want to hear on this stage. I'm up next and I'll combine the hat cam for a better view of the action. A decent run, but a few too many extra shots and too many points down. Max was asking me about my experience in the match.
I'd never been to South America before. This is my first visit here, so I really had no idea what to expect. All in all, the experience has been, for me, very, very positive. There were plenty of guys who had a lot of problems with their ammo and their guns and transportation in here, but we didn't have any problems, and well, the hotel's been great, the food's been good, transportation's been well organized. I think they've pulled it together very much in the last minute, but they have pulled it together. The match itself is very well constructed. I think the stages are excellent. Nothing easy about them. Lots of aiming. Not a hoser match by any means.
And I see a lot of the guys are using some of the same equipment on the Super Squad anyway. Can you please tell me a little bit about what you're using and why?
Well, the rig I'm using is CR Speed. I'm using the CR Speed belt, pouches, and holster. I've probably been using those for 4 or 5 years. I think their stuff is really good. It's very durable, and I like the way that they really take the feedback from the shooters and modify and improve their line. I think they've done that better than anyone else, and for that reason they have the best rig today. As far as the gun goes, I'm shooting a Bull M5 race gun. Not many of the top guys are using that, but it is a very good combination. It's a 1911. I'm using STI top end slide and barrel true bore, and it's running really well for me.
Okay, great. And I noticed you are still one of the few guys on the top using the aim point. Can you tell me why?
I am. I started shooting aim point when I started open almost 10 years ago, and I've briefly tried other scopes. I've looked at the Oka, I've looked at the Seymour, but I've always liked the tube scope. And the aim point is, in my opinion, by far the best quality scope out there.
We return to the action on stage 29 with Todd Jarrett on the line. Stage 30 was another challenging long course. The shooter moved forward to the first opening on the left for 3 open targets, close to mid-range. Then moving around the corner to the right, 3 steals, the middle of which activated another one of these double swingers which came up around the no-shoot and above the hardcover. Moving forward, the reload could be done here, 3 targets through this port. And this is where there were options. You could shoot just 1 target here, then move to the left and finish off the stage from here. Or, in fact, the entire stage could be shot from the previous position, and from that opening going kneeling, one could see all the targets and finish the stage with less motion. Here's the view from the hat cam to give you a better idea of what this stage was like. Most of the top shooters chose this option to avoid going to the last position, thus by saving about 5 meters of motion, but that did make for some tight shots under the no-shoot. Nice shooting there from Athena Lee. We had the chance to speak with US champion Donnie Spencer and ask her what she thought about the match.
You think the stages are different from what you expected, or are they exceptionally difficult?
Not exceptionally difficult. If anything, it's just the stress that we put on ourselves, knowing that this is only once every 3 years. I really don't think it's anything extraordinarily difficult. It's just more our own self-imposed pressure.
And you obviously have high expectations for the event.
Yes, probably too high.
And is there any stage particularly that really caught your attention and you enjoyed?
I actually, so far, in the first 3 days, I felt really good on the stage in front of the grandstand.
That was a stage that had that double popper prop on it as well.
Yes.
There's about 3 or 4 of those in the match. People were saying they were really tough. Did you get through that okay?
Yes.
You had a good
it was
technique,
fine.
good solution to that?
Yeah, you just stay to one side and just be patient.
That's good advice on such a target. Back to stage 30, and on the line is Brodie McIntosh. Great shooting from Brodie, and that blazing time of 15.66 would give him the stage win. Next up is Chris Tilley. Stage 31 was straightforward enough. The shooter had to shoot strong hand and leave his weak hand gripping the metal handle. Weak hand could be used only for reloading or clearing malfunctions.
You finish, you may reload for the next stage. Stand by. If you finish, you may reload for the next round. Stand by. If you finish, you may reload for the next stage. Stand by. If you finish, you may reload for the next stage.
On a stage like this, the temptation is always strong to shoot faster, and that usually leads to misses and extra shots fired. Not the way to reduce the time on the stage.
If you finish, you may reload for the next round. Stand by. If you finish, you may reload and stand by. If you finish, you may reload for the next stage. Are you ready? Stand by. If you finish, you may reload for the next stage.
Stage 32 was another straightforward stage, moving to the left for the port for 2 full-size poppers and a target about 15 meters out, and then down to the right to a lower port for a steel and 2 more paper targets at about 15 meters. Let's take a look at the stage from the hat cam angle. There wasn't really anything spectacular that you could try and do on this stage to gain extra time or points. You just had to really shoot controlled and get all A's.
You're finished, unload and show clear. Stand by.
Good shooting there from the Italians, who had one of the strongest standard teams in the match.
Stand by. Finish, unload and show clear. Are you ready? Stand by. If
Fantastic shooting there from Robbie and Taryn. Let's take another look at those runs and superimpose them to compare the timing. You could see there that even though Taryn left the first position first, Robbie was able to make up the time in the second window. In stage 33, the shooter faced 4 mid-range targets and a popper. Hands were on the window frame and the gun was with an empty chamber, so you had to draw and rack the slide before shooting. Here's the view from the hat cam. As you can imagine, I wasn't too pleased with that extra shot on the steel. I just didn't stop well enough on it to get a good side picture. Here's Robbie Latham.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Nice shooting from Phil, but the next run from Travis Tomasi is even better. You can just see his gun stopping long enough to get a good side picture for every shot. Only 2 points down. Stage 34 was an interesting 16-round stage. Leaning to the right around the barricade revealed the steel and 2 targets. The steel activated the slider, which had 2 targets on it, coming into the window for a close target. The 2 targets came across the front there with another mini popper and open target, and then one more close target right by the window. Here's the view from the hat cam of stage 34.
You are finished. Unload and show clear. Ready? Stand by.
That's a stage I'm sure Guido will want to forget. His teammate Adriano had a much better run on this stage. Yeah, truly excellent run. Fast and aggressive and only 2 points down.
Ready. Ready. Stand by. Ready. Stand by. Ready? Stand by. Are you ready? Stand by. Stand by. Are you ready? Stand by. Ready? Stand by.
Stage 35 was a 23-round stage where the shooter started with his hands on the bamboo wall. Leaning to the left revealed 2 close targets. Through the first opening, which was pretty narrow, 4 targets. A few steps to the right, and the reload can be done here. 3 open targets and a steel which activates a swinger in the window. 1 more step out to the right reveals the last target, partially covered by a no-shoot. And you could choose to go half a step further and then engage one of those 3 targets from the outside. Here's the view of the stage from the hat cam. There wasn't quite enough time to shoot a paper target between the steel and the swinger, so the solution was to shoot 2 on the steel and go directly to the swinger. The standard shooters were shooting first through the port and then leaning out to the left for the 2 targets. This gave them more time to make the reload as they moved to the 3rd position. Us open shooters didn't have that problem as we shot the stage with 1 magazine. Excellent shooting there again from Robbie. Let's take another look at his run and compare it again to Taryn Butler. Taryn chose to shoot 2 targets from around the outside of the barricade, but it didn't make much difference to the overall time as they were both within a couple of tenths.
Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
The host country's shooters, in this case Ecuador, was shooting on the Super Squad, and this was a great opportunity for these young shooters to shoot with the best in the world. And it certainly does seem that Ecuador have some fine shooters, although I think occasionally they were a little overwhelmed by their squad members, and the points tell that story.
Stand by. Stand by.
A great showing by the Italians here, who shot well as a team and went on to finish second in the overall team ranking in the standard division. Stage 36, the big stage of Area 6, offered the longest shots in the match, starting with 3 targets on the right out at 25 meters, then turning to the left and running down the lane, passing by 3 close targets. The reload can be made here after 12 shots. Coming into the port on the right, the furthest target out here is about 35 meters. There's a choice of shooting 3 or 4 targets, sharp turn to the left and moving down lane with some close open targets, and then setting up against the fault line for the final position, where there were 5 or 6 targets to choose from, depending on how many were shot in the port. Here's the view of this stage from the hat cam. We'll watch the top standard squad shoot this challenging stage, and the first shooter on the line is Emmanuel Bragg, who is a member of the US standard team, who were once again champions at this World Shoot.
You're finished. Full load. So clear. This clear. Hammer down.
Stand by.
Fast shooting as always from Taran, but too many points down. Next up is Robbie Leatham, nicknamed by some TGO, which stands for the Great One. Good shooting from Robbie, but the stage win would go to Phil Strader for this excellent run.
Stand by.
Finish and load. So clear. It's clear. Hammer down. Holster.
Are you ready? Stand by. Hammer down. Hold. Stand by.
Wow, a fantastic time from Fabian, but 3 Ds and a mic put him back in the ranking. Our next shooters are the Italians.
Stand by. Finish, go and clear. It's clear. Hammer down. Holster. Stand by. You're finished, you load, show clear. It's clear, hammer down. You're finished, you load, show clear. It's clear, hammer down. Stand by. You're finished, you load, show clear. It's clear, huh?
The shoot-off was held in the morning of the 7th day. It was a top 8 shoot-off in each division. There was a quarterfinal and semi-final single elimination, and the finals were best of 3. This is the semi-finals of the revolver division. And so the shoot-off final in the revolver division would be between newcomer Bjorn Dittrich of the Netherlands and the Grandmaster of revolver shooting, Jerry Mikulik. Bjorn has one more chance as the final is best of 3, but Jerry does look pretty impressive. So Jerry wins the shoot-off, in addition to having won the revolver division in the match. We had a chance to speak with him shortly after the match.
You've been shooting revolver for quite some time. Tell us what makes you decide to shoot this division.
Well, I've shot revolver a lot. I've always wanted to master it. I'm getting close to what I think I can do as a performance level. I still have some speed records I want to go for. USPSA and IPSC is kind of like an offshoot of what I do. So it's good practice for for my speed shoot. So.
Can you tell us something about how you prepare for a competition like this?
Well, this one I really came in really short-handed. I shot the USPSA Nationals and I sprained my right hand pretty bad, and I had like 2.5, 3 weeks, and I wanted to really pump a lot of lead, and my hand was hurting so bad I just shot about 1,000 rounds. So I came in here kind of weak, and they had a couple of young guys here kind of pushed me around pretty hard.
They were? It was pretty close this year.
Yeah, they were pushing me pretty hard. The short stages, the long stages is what separated us there. So it was.
Well, our congratulations to Jerry Mikulik for yet another win. We return to the action in the shoot-off with the modified division. The shoot-off at this World Shoot was one of the toughest I've seen. There were 12 pieces of steel for each shooter, which included 2 mini steels and a 25-meter plate. Not easy shots when you have hundreds of people watching and howling behind you. The pressure really was on. And now for the best of 3 finals in the modified division. Next, we move ahead to the semi-finals of the production division. And so the finals of the production shoot-off was an all-check affair. The malfunction there before the last shot clearly cost Adam the run, so we go into one more final and deciding run. Oh, a mistake there by Adam, leaving a popper standing, gives the win to his teammate Marian. But since it was an all-check affair, everybody seems happy enough. We continue now to the standard division and the top 8 quarterfinals. And then there were only 4. Here are the semi-finals of the standard division. So the standard division final would be between Americans Robbie Latham and Italians Adriano Santangelo. So at 1-1 we shoot one more deciding run for the title of the standard shoot-off champion. So the shoot-off title in the standard division goes to Robbie Latham. Well-deserved appreciation from the crowd of hundreds. And now we continue with the high-speed action of the top 8 open shoot-off. So after our 4 quarterfinals, we're down to 4 competitors: Eric Raffel, Todd Jarrett, Saul Kirsch and JJ Rakeza. The first pair up to shoot is Eric Raffel and Todd Jarrett. Wow, great shooting from the both of them, but Eric goes through to the finals. The next pair is myself, Saul Kirsch and JJ Rakeza for the second semi-final. Another close finish, and I go through to shoot against Eric Raffel in the finals, in a repeat of the shoot-off finals from the previous World Shoot in South Africa. Well, I guess the world champion Eric Raffel was just too good to be beaten this day, and he wins the shoot-off as well as the title.
So that brings us to the end of the 14th IPSC World Shoot. The next championships will be held in Bali, Indonesia in 2008. I hope to see many of you there. Until then, shoot well and be safe. I'm Saul Kirsch of Double Alpha Academy, wishing you all excellent shooting.
Following are a few minutes of the closing ceremony and awards at the World Shoot. After that, a 12-minute slideshow which includes some of the best of thousands of pictures we received from photographers during the match. Enjoy them.